Chapter 2659. Lu Ming swept out with his spear. This time, Lu Ming had used the incomplete divine skill, and had unleashed the power of the 4th level. 9 levels of strength surged out and clashed with Huang Wu's palm. Boom. There was a loud explosion and Lu Ming's body retreated rapidly. He took a few steps back, and the ground exploded. As for Huang Wu, he also retreated. They were evenly matched in this exchange. This lad is so powerful. The new disciples were fine as they knew Lu Ming's strength. However, the senior disciples were shocked that Lu Ming had managed to block Huang Wu's attack, and had even forced Huang Wu to retreat. Such strength could be said to be astonishing. Most importantly, when they used their spiritual senses to scan the area, they realized that Lu Ming was only a demigod, and they were even more shocked. This lad, Huang Wu's eyes narrowed. He had seen that Lu Ming was only a demigod. Hence, he had not used his full strength in the previous blow. However, given his cultivation, even if he did not use his full strength, he could easily suppress an ordinary level 4 empty god. However, he had been defeated by Lu Ming in one blow. Lad, you have some strength. However, I have not used my full strength. Now I will show you who is a senior and who is a newbie. Huang Wu said coldly as his divine power surged out. Bam! His body charged towards Lu Ming, and he slashed out with his palm. A ray of saber radiance shot out from his palm, and slashed towards Lu Ming. Huang Wu had used his full strength in this exchange, and he had even used the incomplete divine skill. He had cultivated for many years, and had already cultivated the incomplete divine skill to the 5th level. Its power was shocking. Lu Ming squinted his eyes. To be honest, Huang Wu's strength was shocking. The divine power that he controlled was king-grade divine power, and he had cultivated the incomplete divine skill. He was far superior to the rank 5 empty gods in the Zhengtian army and Yuanluo Palace. Lu Ming did not hesitate, and activated the battle character manual to double his combat strength. In an instant, Lu Ming's combat strength increased greatly. Boom! Lu Ming's long spear once again collided with Huang Wu. This time, the tremor was even greater and stronger. Their bodies shook violently again, and they retreated continuously. What? He blocked it again. This time, Huang Wu used his full strength but was blocked. Is that brat still human? This is a demigod? Are you kidding me? The older disciples who were watching in secret were dumbfounded. Even the new disciples, who had seen Lu Ming fight during the assessment, stared with wide eyes in shock. During the assessment, Lu Ming was not this strong. This was natural. During the test, Lu Ming couldn't use the battle character formula. Now that he could use the battle character formula, its power was naturally stronger. How is this possible? I don't believe it. Huang Wu roared in his heart. His eyes were incomparably ferocious. He once again charged towards Lu Ming. His palms were like sabers. Saber chi crisscrossed, unceasingly chopping towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming formed a long spear with his divine force. Without any fear, he charged towards Huang Wu. At the same time, Lu Ming unleashed his incomplete divine skill to the maximum, activating it to the 6th level as he fought with Huang Wu. In an instant, the two exchanged more than 10 blows. Lu Ming began to gain the upper hand. Demon? What kind of demon is this? The older disciples almost bit off their tongues. A demigod could actually suppress Huang Wu, who was a rank 5 empty god realm martial artist. Moreover, Huang Wu was not an ordinary rank 5 empty god realm martial artist. He was a genius. The two young men who followed Huang Wu could not even interfere as their cultivation ranks were lower than Huang Wu's. Brat, I will destroy you. Huang Wu roared. A war saber appeared in his hand. This war saber was a lower rank 6 divine weapon. With the divine weapon in his hand, his strength surged. Are you the only one who has a divine weapon? Lu Ming said coldly. A long spear appeared in his hand. This long spear was obtained by Lu Ming from the god's cave. It was a lower rank 9 divine weapon. Wang. The long spear vibrated as Huang Wu unleashed his incomplete divine skill. In an instant, 13 levels of strength burst out. Dang. Huang Wu's body shook violently as he retreated. His arm that was holding the saber was in great pain, and it was almost torn apart. Lower rank 9 divine weapon. Huang Wu roared as he stared at the long spear in Lu Ming's hand with a burning gaze. A lower rank 9 divine weapon was sold for at least 100,000 divine gems on the market. Lu Ming, a demigod, actually had a lower rank 9 divine weapon. Brat, hand over the divine weapon, and I will let this matter rest. Huang Wu roared. Idiot, you may want to let this matter rest, but I don't want to, Lu Ming said coldly. He unleashed his wings rock skill and attacked Huang Wu in a flash. Huang Wu was furious and could only try his best to defend himself. Dang. Now that Lu Ming had taken out the inferior grade 9th tier divine weapon, his combat ability had undoubtedly increased. He had completely suppressed Huang Wu. After a few moves, the saber in Huang Wu's hand flew out. He spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated hurriedly. Bam! Lu Ming swept his spear across Huang Wu's body. Huang Wu fell to the ground and spat out mouthfuls of blood. His face was filled with shock and anger. Brat, you dare to hurt me? I will make sure you die a horrible death, Huang Wu roared. You talk too much. Scram. Lu Ming swept his spear and Huang Wu was sent flying like a cannonball. He turned into a black dot and disappeared. After sweeping Huang Wu away, Lu Ming took a deep breath and kept Huang Wu's war saber. A lower rank 6 divine weapon was not cheap and could be exchanged for many fragments for Qiuqiu. As Qiuqiu's level increased, his appetite also grew stronger. He even disliked the fragments of low-level divine weapons and insisted on eating fragments of higher level than his own. Brat, you dare to hurt Huang Wu? Do you know who he is? You are dead. Do you know that? One of the young men who came with Huang Wu roared. Scram. If you don't scram, I will beat you up too. Lu Ming's cold gaze swept over the 2 young men. The 2 young men shuddered and fear appeared on their faces. They did not dare to say anything and left with their tails between their legs. This newcomer is really arrogant, A half-deity with such terrifying battle strength. He is probably a peerless genius. However, Huang Wu's background is not small. His elder brother is a peak figure among the inner disciples, and is also a member of a holy prince's faction. This newcomer will have a hard time in the future. That's right. Unless he has a backer, he is finished. Some of the older disciples discussed. Some of the new disciples were stunned. They did not expect Lu Ming to be so strong that he even dared to beat up the older disciples. Many of them looked at him with flickering eyes, and then went to find a courtyard to stay in without saying a word. They did not dare to get too close to Lu Ming, afraid that they would be implicated by Lu Ming. Brother Lu, many thanks. At this time, Deng Yu walked over and cupped his fists. What are you thanking me for? I just don't want to give you divine crystals. Lu Ming smiled. Brother Lu, you still have to be careful. Those people dared to openly extort the new disciples. I'm afraid their background is not small. I'm afraid there will be revenge later. Deng Yu reminded. Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir. Lu Ming smiled. What had he not experienced along the way? What dangers had he not encountered? His mentality was incomparably firm. Chapter 2660. Next, Lu Ming found an empty courtyard to stay in. At the entrance of the courtyard, there was a sign with the number 86 foot written on it. Lu Ming took down the sign and put it away. It meant that someone was staying here. It seems that I have to break through to the empty god realm as soon as possible, Lu Ming thought. He looked indifferent on the surface, but he felt a sense of urgency in his heart. Although he was strong, this was the Kongxian school. As one of the 13 sects of Qin Tian, there were many geniuses. Those who could cultivate here were all geniuses. It was hard to count the number of geniuses that had accumulated over the years. If they did not become true gods in a million years, they would be sent to other planets to take care of things. In other words, the outer sect alone had accumulated over the years. How many geniuses would there be? Every 1,000 years, there would be more than 100 geniuses. In a million years, there would be more than 100,000 geniuses. Moreover, the Kongxian school did not recruit disciples solely based on the examination that was held once every 1,000 years. Usually, there would be some experts who would travel to various planets to look for talented geniuses to directly recruit them into the sect. The number of geniuses who joined in this way was not small. In a million years, the number of geniuses was shocking. Even if there were many who broke through to the true God realm and became inner sect disciples, there were still many who stayed. There were probably close to 100,000 geniuses. These geniuses were strong and talented. Facing these geniuses, Lu Ming's ability to fight those who were stronger than him would be greatly reduced. Lu Ming sat cross-legged and circulated his energy to regulate his breathing. At this time, the battle between Lu Ming and Huangwu had also spread among the outer sect disciples. What? A new disciple defeated Huangwu? Huangwu is a level 5 empty god realm cultivator, and his incomplete divine skill has reached level 5. He is very strong. A new disciple who just joined the sect can defeat Huangwu. He is not simple. Indeed, he is not simple. Could he be a genius from a big clan? Many people guessed. After all, the 13 sects of Qin Tian would recruit a new batch of disciples every 1,000 years. Those who were talented and strong would usually participate and would not be too old. Therefore, those who participated in the disciple recruitment examination did not cultivate for a long time. Naturally, their cultivation was not high. There weren't many veteran disciples who were able to defeat Huangwu as soon as they joined the master-teacher pavilion. Wei Qing, you were also present back then. Do you know Lu Ming's background and which galaxy he came from? Someone asked a young man who was there. From the chaotic Star River, I heard him say so himself. Wei Qing said. What? From the chaotic galaxy? Wei Qing, has Lu Ming's cultivation level surpassed Huangwu's and reached level 6 empty god realm? Otherwise, how could he be Huangwu's match? The Qin Tian 13 sects have never been open to the chaotic galaxy. There are some supreme talents in the chaotic galaxy who have cultivated for almost 10,000 years. It is not impossible for them to reach level 6 empty god realm. Yes, it must be so. Many people were sure that Lu Ming must have cultivated for almost 10,000 years, and his cultivation must have surpassed Huangwu's to defeat him. His cultivation is not higher than Huangwu's, Wei Qing said speechlessly. What? Not higher than Huangwu's? Is he also a level 5 empty god? He is at the same level as Huangwu and defeated Huangwu when he just joined the sect? Is it true? A senior outer disciple did not believe it. If that's really the case, then this person's comprehension ability is truly shocking. He must have cultivated the incomplete divine skill to an extremely high level. Or perhaps he had a fortuitous encounter a long time ago and obtained other incomplete divine skills. Only after cultivating for many years could he defeat Huangwu. Another senior outer disciple guessed. Sai, let me tell you. Lu Ming is not even an empty god, Wei Qing said. Not an empty god? Wei Qing, you must be mistaken. If he is not an empty god, could he be a true god? How can a person who has cultivated for less than 10,000 years reach the true god realm? Even if he is a true god, he would not be an outer disciple. He must have become an inner disciple. Many outer disciples despised Wei Qing, who said he is a true god. He is not a true god, nor an empty god. He is a half-god. Do you know what a half-god is? Wei Qing was anxious and blurted it out. The crowd fell silent. Then the crowd burst into laughter. Ha ha, Wei Qing, are you crazy? Half-god. A half-god defeated Huangwu? Wei Qing, are you talking in your sleep? Do you think we are 3 years old and easy to fool? Everyone sneered at Wei Qing. They did not believe him and mocked him. Wei Qing's face turned red and he shouted, That is the truth. Lu Ming is a half-god and defeated Huangwu. I am not the only one who saw it. Others have seen it too. Also, new outer disciples have to register at the human hall within 3 days to receive their identity token and have their cultivation tested. If you don't believe me, we can wait at the human hall. When Lu Ming is there, you will know that I am not lying. Seeing Wei Qing's expression, the others fell silent. Could it be that Wei Qing was telling the truth? However, they still found it hard to believe that a half-god could defeat Huangwu. In fact, even Wei Qing himself would not believe it if he did not see it with his own eyes. Let's go to the human hall and wait. I don't believe it. Let's go. The group of people went to the human hall and waited there. A few hours later, Lu Ming recovered to his peak state. He got up and went to the human hall. The human hall was the outer disciple of the Kongxian school. Everyone knew where it was. After asking around, Lu Ming easily found the human hall. The human resource hall was a huge hall. He is here. Lu Ming is here. That is Lu Ming. As soon as Lu Ming arrived, Wei Qing pointed at Lu Ming and shouted, "That kid is Lu Ming? I want to see what his cultivation is." An outer disciple extended his spiritual consciousness, trying to detect Lu Ming's cultivation. Lu Ming sensed it instantly. His spiritual consciousness also rushed out and blocked the person's prying. That person retracted his spiritual sense and said, "He found out, but he didn't find out. Let's just wait and see." Lu Ming glanced at the group of people, and then stepped into the hall. Wei Qing and the others followed from a distance. In fact, there were many people who were as curious as Wei Qing and the others. They stood aside and watched as if nothing had happened. Lu Ming came to a counter. At the counter, an old man looked at Lu Ming and said, "Are you a new disciple?" "Yes." Lu Ming nodded. "Name, age, which galaxy you are from, report it all," the old man said. Lu Ming. Lu Ming reported his information. "Infuse divine power into this crystal ball. It can detect your cultivation." The old man took out a crystal ball and gave it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded, took the crystal ball, and infused it with divine power. Suddenly the crystal ball emitted light. Demigod. The old man was a little surprised. He then recorded Lu Ming's information. Demigod. "Look, it's really a half-body." The veteran outer sect disciples who were watching nearby were all dumbfounded and speechless. Lu Ming was really a demigod. Chapter 2661. The veteran outer disciples were all dumbfounded. They did not believe that Lu Ming was a half-god, but now, they had no choice but to believe it. That was because the results of the crystal ball test could not be faked. Lu Ming defeated Huang Wu, who was a level 5 empty god realm martial artist, with his half-god cultivation. How was that possible? It was like a fantasy story. Monster, a real monster. Many people looked at Lu Ming with solemn eyes. The corners of Lu Ming's lips curled into a smile. Of course, Lu Ming knew what the people around him were up to. The reason why he had defeated Huang Wu in such a domineering manner was to establish his dominance. Lu Ming had been through a lot along the way. He naturally knew that newbies would be bullied no matter where they went. Therefore, he had to display his powerful abilities so that others would be in awe of him, and he would have fewer troubles. Otherwise, how could he cultivate if a group of people came to provoke him? In this way, there would be fewer outer disciples who dared to provoke him. After registering his information, the old man gave Lu Ming an identity token. After receiving the identity token, Lu Ming turned and left. "Brother Lu." Just as Lu Ming walked out of the personnel hall, someone called out to him, and Deng Yu caught up with him. "Brother Deng, what's the matter?" Lu Ming smiled. "Brother Lu, I just heard that Huang Wu's background is not to be underestimated." Deng Yu said. "Oh, what's his background?" Lu Ming asked. "I've heard that Deng Yu's elder brother is one of the geniuses among the inner disciples. His strength is extremely powerful. Furthermore, his elder brother's master is an inner elder with terrifying strength." Deng Yu said solemnly. Lu Ming raised his eyebrows. He did not expect Huang Wu to have such a background. However, since he had done it, there was nothing to be afraid of. He would deal with whatever came his way. "Thank you, Brother Deng." Lu Ming smiled. Deng Yu dared to tell him about Huang Wu's background after knowing about it. He was a good person and worth befriending. He did not see anyone else and had already distanced himself from Lu Ming. The two chatted as they returned to their residence. After returning to his room, Lu Ming sat down cross-legged. With a thought, an exquisite dagger appeared in Lu Ming's hand. This dagger was given to him by the ancestor of techniques. He wanted him to bring it to a girl called Yuexin from the Kongxian school. However, according to the ancestor of techniques, Yuexin was the daughter of an important figure in the Kongxian school. She was most likely not in the outer sect. He was in the outer sect now, so it would not be easy to find Yuexin. If you have time, get someone to investigate. Lu Ming thought to himself. He then put away the dagger and took out a jade bottle. The jade bottle contained the spirit-strengthening pill. The spirit-strengthening pill could greatly increase the strength of the divine power and refine the divine power. It would be of great help in breaking through to the empty god realm. When one's cultivation had reached the demigod realm, there was no need to comprehend the Tao. This was especially true for demigods and empty gods. As long as they continued to refine their divine power, their cultivation would naturally increase. However, without the help of divine pills or treasures, the process would be very slow. After consuming the spirit-strengthening pill, Lu Ming started to refine it. The spirit-strengthening pill turned into a surge of energy and flowed into the divine flame in Lu Ming's dantian. It was refined by the divine flame and turned into divine power. At the same time, the surrounding space was filled with rich divine aura. It was constantly gathering toward Lu Ming and surging into his body. It was refined by Lu Ming and slowly transformed into divine power. After a few days, Lu Ming finished refining the spirit-strengthening pill and ended his cultivation. The divine qi in the Kongxian star is too dense. Cultivating here is several times faster than cultivating in the chaotic galaxy. At this rate, I will become a divine being in less than a year. Lu Ming revealed a faint smile. After a few days of cultivation, Lu Ming could feel that the divine flame in his body had grown stronger. Traces of divine power flowed out from the divine flame and flowed into his meridians. From the demigod realm to the empty god realm, it was a slow process. Most people would have to stay in the empty god realm for a long time. However, the divine qi in the Kongxian star was extremely dense. With the help of the spirit-strengthening pill, Lu Ming was confident that he could become a divine being in less than a year. Someone's here? At this moment, Lu Ming sensed that someone was flying in from outside the courtyard, and then stopped at the entrance of his courtyard. Clang! The door of his courtyard was pushed open. Lu Ming frowned. With a flash, he left the room and came to the courtyard of the other courtyard. A young man walked in from outside the door. He was dressed in luxurious robes and his face was cold and arrogant. He glanced at Lu Ming and smiled. "You are Lu Ming?" Although this person was smiling, his tone still revealed a hint of arrogance. "That's right, I am Lu Ming. Did Huang Wu send you here?" Lu Ming asked. "No." The young man shook his head and said, "Huang Wu is not qualified to send me here. Someone wants to see you. It might be a great opportunity for you." "Someone wants to see me? Opportunity?" Lu Ming was stunned. He had just arrived and did not know anyone. "That's right. Come with me." The young man turned around and left after saying that. Lu Ming frowned. Initially, the attitude of the young man in luxurious clothes made him uncomfortable, and he did not want to go. However, he was indeed curious. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and followed the young man. They walked out of the courtyard and soared into the sky. Not long after, they landed in a luxurious courtyard. This courtyard was very luxurious. It was more than 10 times bigger than Lu Ming's courtyard. The location was also very good and the atmosphere was very dense. Lu Ming and the young man walked into the courtyard and saw a few tables and chairs. A few young men were sitting at the tables and chairs, drinking wine and chatting. "Big brothering, I've brought him here." The young man cupped his fists towards a golden-haired young man and sat down at a table. Sitting at the head was a golden-haired young man. He had a dignified appearance and a strong aura. It was obvious that he was an expert. "You are Lu Ming?" The golden-haired young man and the other young men all looked at Lu Ming. "That's right," Lu Ming said. "Sit." The golden-haired young man waved his hand and pointed at a table. Lu Ming was puzzled. He was sure that he had never seen these people before. However, Lu Ming was not afraid and sat down at a table. "I heard that you ranked first in the 13-sex trial." The golden-haired young man took a sip of wine and smiled. "I was just lucky," Lu Ming said. "No matter what, to be able to get first means that your talent is not bad. To tell you the truth, we are under the Tianhong Saint and belong to the Tianhong faction." The golden-haired young man said. "Tianhong Saint? Tianhong faction?" Lu Ming was puzzled. "You just came here and might not know. Let me tell you." The golden-haired young man said. Kongxian school is very powerful and powerful. It has many experts. Other than the sect master and some grand elders, there are many factions under them, led by the saints and saintesses. Chapter 2662. The golden-haired young man explained to Lu Ming in detail. In the Kongxian school, as long as a prodigy with holy or divine force reached a certain level of cultivation, they could form their own faction. Those who had holy divine force were known as saints or saintesses. Those who had divine force were known as deities. These saints, saintesses, and deities could be considered candidates for the future sect leader. The future sect leader would definitely be born from these people. These saints, saintesses, and deities were equivalent to the princes of an empire. Every one of them had many supporters in the Kongxian school. Outer sect disciples, inner sect disciples, outer sect elders, and even inner sect elders all had their own supporters. As long as the person they supported became the sect leader in the future, the people in this faction would naturally rise to the top. It could be said that these factions were extremely powerful in the Kongxian school. In fact, it wasn't just the Kongxian school that was like this. The Qin Tian 13 sects and other sects were also like this. The golden-haired young man and the others belonged to one of the saints, the Tianhong Saints faction. When they heard that Lu Ming was the top scorer in this year's assessment, they wanted to recruit Lu Ming to join the Tianhong Saints faction. What do you think? Join the Tianhong Saints faction. It will benefit you a lot. The golden-haired young man said. I'm sorry, but I don't have any plans to join any faction for the time being. Lu Ming said. He came to the Kongxian school, mainly to borrow the resources of the Kongxian school to cultivate. He had no intention of getting involved in the struggles of various factions. Hearing Lu Ming's rejection, the golden-haired young man and the other young men frowned. Lu Ming, I know that you offended Huangwu a few days ago. Let me tell you, Huangwu's background is not small. His elder brother is a genius among the inner disciples. His elder brother's master is a powerful inner sect elder. Moreover, they belong to another faction of the chosen, Fukoseiko's faction. Huangwu will definitely seek revenge on you later. As long as you join the Tianhong Saint Sun, you will receive our protection. Even Huangwu will not be able to do anything to you. The golden-haired youth said. I'm sorry, but I really don't intend to join any faction. Lu Ming shook his head and refused again. Needless to say, once he joined a certain faction, he would become a hired thug and tool of that faction. Lu Ming had no interest in working for a certain saint. In addition, the attitude of the finely dressed youth from before had made Lu Ming very unhappy. Lu Ming did not have a good impression of this person from the Skybright Saints faction. Although the golden-haired youth had a smile on his face, his tone was cold and arrogant. It was as if he was looking down on Lu Ming. Kid, don't be so shameless. Don't think that you're so great just because you got first place in the assessment. The 13 sects recruit disciples once every 1,000 years. For countless years, people like you have been found everywhere. The finely dressed youth slammed the table and scolded coldly. That's right. We invited you to join the Skybright Saint Sun because we think highly of you. Don't think too highly of yourself. You won't even know how you died. Another young man said coldly. Oh, since you don't welcome me, I'll leave. Lu Ming said indifferently. He stood up and was about to leave. Stop right there. You think you can come and go as you wish. Where do you think this is? The finely dressed youth suddenly stood up and scolded. Hee hee, what a joke. You invited me just now. Otherwise, do you think I would come? Lu Ming sneered. Kid, what's with your attitude? You're courting death. The finely dressed youth snorted and circulated his divine force. Powerful divine force burst out and pressed down on Lu Ming. Level 7 Empty God Realm. The finely dressed youth was at level 7 Empty God Realm, and was extremely powerful. He was much more powerful than Huangwu. Lu Ming circulated his divine force and was ready to strike. So what if the other party was powerful? Lu Ming would not allow himself to be captured without a fight. Why? This is the style of the Skybright Saint Sun's faction. If you don't agree to join, you'll take action. If this matter spreads out, let's see who will join the Skybright Saint Sun's faction. Lu Ming said coldly. You dare to threaten me? The finely dressed youth's eyes turned colder, and he was about to strike. Let him go. The golden-haired youth's voice sounded. Brothering, the finely dressed youth said anxiously. Let him go. We, the Skybright Saint Sons faction, will not force others to do things against their will. The golden-haired youth raised his hand, and the finely dressed youth had no choice but to withdraw his aura. Lu Ming did not turn back and strode away. After Lu Ming left, the finely dressed youth said unhappily, Brothering, why didn't you let me teach that Lu Ming a lesson? This guy doesn't know what's good for him. That's right. This person can be ranked first. His talent is not bad. If he joins other factions, it won't do us any good. The other youth added. Don't worry. If he doesn't join our faction and joins other factions, he will be an enemy. We can't let such a person stay in this world. Inform the others. If they meet this person outside, they will have the chance to kill him. However, I'm afraid he won't be able to get past Huang Wu. Let's just wait for a good show. The golden-haired youth said coldly. The smile on his face had disappeared and was replaced with killing intent. Originally, Lu Ming had ranked first in the assessment, and his talent was not weak. He had wanted to recruit Lu Ming to the Skybright Saint Sons faction. After all, there was a reward for recruiting a supreme talent. He had not expected Lu Ming to be so stubborn. I didn't expect the relationships in the Kongxian school to be so complicated. Forget it, I'll raise my strength first. Back in the courtyard, Lu Ming frowned. The Kongxian school's waters were very deep. Only when one's own strength was strong could one be unafraid of the storms outside. Lu Ming immediately continued to refine the spirit-strengthening pill and cultivate. In another luxurious courtyard in the outer area of the Kongxian school. This courtyard was Huang Wu's courtyard. Huang Wu's injuries had already healed, and he was discussing matters with a few lackeys. Lu Ming, I want him to die a horrible death. Huang Wu said with a cold expression. Senior brother Huang Wu, should we report this matter to senior brother Huang Wen, and ask him to send people to deal with Lu Ming? One of the lackeys suggested. Huang Wen was Huang Wu's elder brother. My elder brother has been in seclusion to break through to the next realm. There's no need to disturb him over such a small matter. Go call the Lu brothers over. Have them cripple Lu Ming. Huang Wu said. Senior brother is wise. The Lu brothers are both at level 6 of the Void God realm. With the two of them working together, they can easily crush Lu Ming. I'll call them over now. One of the lackeys said. In Lu Ming's courtyard, he was refining the spirit-strengthening pill when suddenly, a loud roar came from outside. Lu Ming, get out here. The roar was so loud that it shook Lu Ming's courtyard. Lu Ming opened his eyes abruptly. A trace of coldness flashed across his eyes. No one would be in a good mood if they were disturbed in the middle of cultivation. Lu Ming ended his cultivation and walked out of the courtyard. He saw a few figures standing in front of him. Huang Wu. Lu Ming saw Huang Wu at first glance. Chapter 2663. Beside Huang Wu, there were two young men. The two of them looked similar, but their figures were different. One of them was short and fat while the other was tall and skinny. Both of them stared at Lu Ming with hostility. It's you again. Are you looking for trouble? Lu Ming looked at Huang Wu coldly. Brat, you are good. This time, I will cripple you. Go and break his limbs. I want him to cry on the ground. Huang Wu said viciously. It wasn't that he didn't want to kill Lu Ming, but there were rules in the Kongxian school. In the Kongxian school, disciples from the same sect were not allowed to kill each other. However, fighting was not forbidden. As long as one didn't kill or cripple one's cultivation, they could do whatever they wanted. Otherwise, Huang Wu would have crushed Lu Ming into ashes. Junior brother Huang Wu, don't worry. I will break his limbs and make him cry on the ground like a cripple. The short and fat young man said ferociously. Divine force burst out from his body, and he was like a mountain, pressing down on Lu Ming. The tall and skinny young man also burst out with divine force, and stepped towards Lu Ming. Rank 6 Empty God Realm. The short and fat young man and the tall and skinny young man were both rank 6 Empty God Realm martial artists. Their divine force was undoubtedly king-grade divine force. Lu Ming frowned slightly. With his current cultivation rank, he might not be a match for a rank 6 empty god realm martial artist who had king-grade divine force. Kneel down. Kneel down. The short and fat young man and the tall and skinny young man shouted and attacked Lu Ming at the same time. Both of their weapons were huge hammers, and when they waved them around, the power was shocking. Boom. Boom. A strong wind blew and a terrifying force swept towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming took a step back and quickly retreated. You want to leave? Stay. The Lu brothers shouted and chased after Lu Ming. Their hammers were like a storm as they attacked Lu Ming. This was an incomplete divine skill. When the two of them worked together, the power was multiplied. Who said I'm leaving? At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly stopped. He waved his hand and shouted, smash! A bracelet flew out of Lu Ming's hand and turned into a huge ball, smashing towards the short and fat youth. Scram! The short and fat youth roared, and the hammer continued to smash down on the round ball. Boom! With a loud boom, the short and fat young man's eyes popped out. He screamed and flew out like a kite with a broken string. He landed heavily on the ground and couldn't get up for a long time. That round ball was naturally Little Ball. Over the past few days, Qiuqiu had devoured large amounts of divine tool fragments and metal attribute refining materials. It had advanced once again. Now, Qiuqiu had already reached level 5 Void God Realm. With Qiuqiu's strength at level 5 Empty God Realm, defeating the short and fat youth at level 6 Empty God Realm was not a problem at all. Unless the other party had reached level 7 Empty God Realm and possessed royal grade divine force, he would be able to withstand Qiuqiu's attack. After sending the short and fat youth flying, Qiuqiu smashed towards the tall and skinny youth with a swoosh. In the end, he was sent flying by Qiuqiu just like the short and fat youth. He fell to the ground and vomited blood. What? Huang Wu's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. That is a metallic life form? The commotion here had already alerted the outer disciples in the nearby courtyards. The scene of Qiuqiu smashing the Lu brothers flying had naturally been witnessed by them. Those people were shocked. They hadn't expected Lu Ming to have such a powerful metallic life form on him. Now it's your turn. Lu Ming's cold gaze swept over Huang Wu. Huang Wu was almost scared to death. He turned and ran. However, how could he be faster than Qiuqiu? Qiuqiu flew over and smashed down on his head. Huang Wu tried his best to block it, but he was also sent flying and vomited blood on the ground. Just now you said you would break my limbs. Now I'll try it on you. Lu Ming stepped forward and condensed his divine force into a long spear. Lu Ming, don't you dare. Do you know who my big brother is? My big brother is Huang Wen, a heavenly genius of the inner sect. If you dare injure me, my big brother won't let you off. Huang Wu roared, threatening Lu Ming. You talk too much. Lu Ming said coldly. He drew out his long spear and whipped Huang Wu's legs. Huang Wu miserably screamed. His legs were broken, and his bones were even visible. Blood was flowing. Although such injuries could be quickly healed, that kind of pain was real. It wouldn't lessen in the slightest. HHH brat, you're dead. I'll grind your bones to dust. Huang Wu roared. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming once more waved his spear, breaking the bones in Huang Wu's arms. Huang Wu was now like a pile of mud on the ground. How brazen! The other outer sect disciples all sucked in a cold breath. Despite knowing Huang Wu's identity, he still dared to be so ruthless. Scram! Lu Ming sent Huang Wu flying with a kick, turning him into a black dot in the air. If it wasn't for the Kongxian school's rule against killing, Lu Ming wouldn't hesitate to kill Huang Wu. Ruthless, truly ruthless. To treat Huang Wu like this, he'll definitely take revenge. Definitely. When he asks his big brother to come, he'll casually invite an outer sect expert. Lu Ming will be in danger. Too impulsive, unwise. The other outer sect disciples were secretly discussing. Lu Ming's gaze was somewhat focused. He was about to return to his room to continue cultivating, striving to break through as soon as possible. At this time, a ray of light flew over from the distance. A middle-aged man appeared in the air. All disciples who have joined the sect for less than 3,000 years immediately gather at the square at the foot of the mountain. The middle-aged man spoke, his voice rumbling, spreading throughout the area. After saying this, the middle-aged man repeated it twice before turning around and leaving. Those who have joined the sect for less than 3,000 years. Lu Ming was flabbergasted. He didn't understand why. Looks like we're going to that place. I'm so envious. Yeah, if I can go there again. I'm afraid I'll be able to break through my cultivation. Some of the veteran outer sect disciples immediately began to discuss. Many of them revealed looks of envy. As for those like Lu Ming who had just joined the sect, they were also flabbergasted. However, they didn't ask much and flew to the foot of the mountain. There was a huge square at the foot of the mountain. They gathered there. Little Qing. As soon as Lu Ming arrived, he saw Xian Yanqing and Xian Yinjuan. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yinjuan were both women. Lu Ming. Seeing Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing also revealed a smile and flew over. Many people looked at Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing. What a beautiful woman. It's a pity that she's already taken. Who is that kid? He's so lucky. I'm so envious. Many male disciples looked at Lu Ming with envy, jealousy, and hatred. There were even more people who flew to the female disciples and greeted them, taking the opportunity to close the distance. Chapter 2664. In a short while, more than 600 people had gathered in the square. They were all disciples who had joined the sect within the last 3,000 years. At that moment, a few figures flew over from afar. There were 5 of them. There were elders and middle-aged men. The middle-aged man in the middle was wearing a loose black robe. Everyone recognized that it was the symbol of an outer elder. As for the other 4, they were wearing the symbol of an outer deacon. Today, I have called all of you here to bring you to a place. That place is a training ground, but it is also an opportunity. Consider it a benefit for all of you. The outer elder said. Training? Benefit? Everyone was surprised. That's right. On Kongxian Star there is a strange forest. There are many plant life forms living there. These plant life forms are unique. Their bodies contain a type of wood crystal. This wood crystal contains rich and pure energy. It is easy for empty gods to absorb and refine it. It is a great help for accumulating and increasing divine power. It can increase your cultivation rank in a short period of time. According to the rules of the sect, the forest will only open once every 3,000 years. Therefore, all disciples who have joined the sect within the last 3,000 years can enter. Consider it a benefit for all of you. However, some of these plant life forms are aggressive and some are poisonous. They are dangerous. Consider it a training ground for all of you. The outer elder explained. Everyone was enlightened, and some of them were excited. They had just joined the sect, and yet they were able to enjoy such benefits. No wonder it was a top sect. Swoosh. The outer elder waved his hand, and a sacred artifact combat sword appeared. It expanded rapidly and became a few hundred miles wide. Go up, I will bring all of you there. The outer elder and the 4 deacons were the first to land on the sacred artifact giant sword. Then Lu Ming and the rest flew onto the giant sword. Let's go. The outer sect elder shouted. The huge sword turned into a beam of light and flew into the distance at an extremely fast speed. Lu Ming and the rest were on the giant sword. They were stable and did not move at all. So fast. Is this the strength of a heavenly god? Lu Ming looked at the mountains, rivers, and so on that were constantly passing by. He sighed inwardly. It was too fast. Even with Lu Ming's eyesight, he couldn't see the passing scenery clearly. As an outer elder of the Kongxian school, his cultivation was at least in the heavenly god realm. Someone like him could travel across the starry sky with his flesh alone. His speed was naturally shocking. However, the surface area of Kongxian Star was too big. Even with the help of heavenly god realm experts, it would still take some time for them to get there. Lu Ming suddenly looked in a certain direction. Just now, Lu Ming felt that someone was looking at him with killing intent. When Lu Ming glanced over, a few young men immediately turned their heads away and pretended as if nothing had happened. They want to kill me? Are they Huang Wu's men? Lu Ming thought to himself. Lu Ming, those people want to kill you. Xian Yinqing whispered. Obviously, he had also felt it. Yeah, I can feel it. Be careful when we reach the botany forest. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Xian Yanqing. The two of them chatted for a while, and sat down cross-legged at the side. However, Lu Ming could feel killing intent sweeping towards him from time to time. Although it was well hidden, Lu Ming's spiritual sense was extremely sharp and he could clearly sense it. A few hours later, the giant sword stopped. There was a huge mountain range in front of them. The mountain range was extremely vast and ancient trees towered into the sky. One couldn't see the end of it. The area of the mountain range was probably 10 times larger than the heaven boundary, primordial realm and evil god realm combined. This is our destination this time, the botany forest. There are many plant life forms living in it. Although the plant life forms are not too strong, and there are almost no true god realm existences, you have to act according to your own strength. Don't lose your life because of greed. Also, you only have 3 months. After 3 months, you must come out. Go. The outer elder waved his hand. Whoosh. Whoosh. Suddenly, nearly 600 people turned into streaks of light and flew into the mountain range and into the boundless forest. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing also flew towards the botany forest. Let's go together. Xian Yanjuan appeared beside Lu Ming. All right. Lu Ming nodded. They flew for a while, and then rushed into the vast botany forest. The 4 of you go in and take a look. If there is really a true god realm plant life form, kill it. After everyone had entered the botany forest, the outer elder instructed the 4 deacons. Yes. The 4 deacons also rushed into the botany forest in a flash. As for the outer sanctum elder, he waited outside. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Xian Yanjuan landed in a forest. It was quiet in the forest. Other than the sound of the wind, there was no other sound. Other than plants, there were no other living beings. The 3 of them observed for a while, and then went into the depths of the forest. Whoosh. When Lu Ming passed by an old vine, the old vine moved and wrapped around Lu Ming like a soft whip. There were sharp thorns on the old vine that emitted a green light. It was obvious that it was highly poisonous. Plant life form. Lu Ming's eyes moved. A divine weapon battle sword appeared in his hand, and he slashed out. Puff. The old vine was directly cut by Lu Ming and dark green liquid flowed out. Afterward, Lu Ming saw an old vine uprooting and scampering away, trying to escape. Still want to run. Lu Ming used the rock wing technique and caught up with the old vine in a flash. He slashed at the root of the old vine. The old vine twitched a few times and stopped moving. Afterward, Lu Ming broke open the old vines and found a green crystal that was about the size of a finger. This was the wood crystal. It contained very rich energy essence. Let's see what the energy is like. Lu Ming opened his mouth and sucked the wood crystal into his mouth. Instantly, the wood crystal turned into rolling energy and poured into the divine flame. Soon, the energy of the wood crystal was directly converted into divine power. It can be directly absorbed and converted. Lu Ming exclaimed. Refining the wood crystal was even faster than refining the spirit-strengthening pill. However, the old vine was only at level 1 of the ethereal god realm. It did not contain much energy. Then the 3 of them continued to move forward. However, after walking for a while, they did not find any traces of plant life forms. Not all the plants in the forest were plant life forms. Many of them were not plant life forms, and were just ordinary plants. If these plant life forms don't attack, they will be like ordinary plants. It's hard to find them, Xian Yanqing said. Lu Ming and Xian Yanjuan frowned. That was true. If the plant life forms did not attack, even if they were beside them, they might not be able to find them. Lu Ming, try Little Ball. Little Ball is a metal life form. It is a special life form like the plant life forms. Perhaps it can sense them, Xian Yanqing suggested. Chapter 2665. Xian Yanqing's words made Lu Ming's eyes light up. That's right, Qiu was a metallic life form. Like plant life forms, it was a special life form. Could he sense it? Immediately, Lu Ming woke Qiu up. Every time Qiu turned into a bracelet and wore it on Lu Ming's wrist, it was basically sleeping and digesting the divine tool fragments and refining materials it had eaten. Crunch, crunch. After being woken up, Qiu turned into a metallic ball. A large mouth appeared on it and kept biting. This glutton wants to eat as soon as it wakes up. Lu Ming smiled speechlessly. He took out a divine tool fragment of a level 5 divine tool and threw it to Qiuqiu. Qiuqiu bit it and started eating. Sparks flew between its teeth. The level 5 divine tool fragment was completely devoured by Qiuqiu in the blink of an eye. Qiuqiu sensed it. There are plant life forms here. Let's see if you can sense them. Lu Ming said to Qiuqiu. Crunch, crunch. A pair of eyes appeared above Qiuqiu's mouth, and it started looking around. Swish. Suddenly, Qiuqiu flew out towards a tree as thick as a thigh and bit it. Swish. Immediately, the tree jumped up and swept its branches in all directions. Its roots were like venomous snakes as they coiled around Qiuqiu. There really is one. Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing, and Xian Yinjuan were all overjoyed. This tree was just beside them, but they didn't sense it. Swish. Xian Yinjuan was close to the tree and immediately attacked. With a flash of his sword, the tree was cut into hundreds of pieces. Wood fragments flew everywhere. A wood crystal appeared in the air and was caught by Xian Yinjuan. Swish. Then, Qiuqiu flew to the other side and bit at a plant that looked like a weed. Immediately, this plant jumped up and ran away, but it was killed by Xian Yinqing's sword. Sha sha sha. In the next moment, the plants around Lu Ming and the others seemed to move. At least a dozen plants moved. Their roots left the ground like feet as they scampered off into the distance. There were large trees that required several people to wrap their arms around, slender bamboos, a few large locust trees, and a few old vines. So many. Lu Ming and the others were tongue-tied. When these plant life forms were motionless, it was impossible to tell. Unexpectedly, there were so many plant life forms around them. Were they trying to ambush them? Kill. Lu Ming and the other two didn't hold back at all as they charged towards these plant life forms. These plant life forms were not of high levels, and the most powerful one was only at level 5 empty god realm. Not long after, all of them were killed by Lu Ming and the rest. They obtained more than 10 wood crystals. This kind of wood crystal was very easy to refine. After the 3 of them split it equally, they swallowed it on the spot and refined it. In less than an hour, they had refined all of the wood crystals. Lu Ming felt the divine force in his body grow stronger. A wisp of divine flame burned fiercely in his dantian, overflowing with divine force and flowing through his meridians. Once his meridians were filled with divine force, Lu Ming would be able to break through to the martial god realm. Continue. Immediately, Lu Ming and the others brought Qiuqiu and started to hunt the plant life forms. This forest only opened once every 3,000 years, so there were many plant life forms here. A few days later, they had killed more than 100 plants and obtained more than 100 wood crystals, which were all refined by the 3 of them. Lu Ming could feel the divine force in his body growing stronger. He was getting closer to the day of his breakthrough. Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan's cultivation was slightly higher as they had reached level 3 empty god realm. They needed more energy to improve their cultivation, but they had made significant progress and were quickly approaching level 4 empty god realm. Treasure land. This forest was really a treasure land. No wonder the outer elder said it was a benefit for them. As long as they could kill the plant life forms, their cultivation would improve rapidly. It was indeed a benefit. Especially Lu Ming and the others, their speed of killing the plant life forms was extremely fast, which was a rare benefit. Their cultivation speed was incomparable to normal cultivation. Puff. A level 5 empty god realm tree with a diameter of 10 meters was slashed in half by Lu Ming's sword. Using a battle sword to deal with these plant life forms was more convenient. Lu Ming smiled. Just as he was about to peel the wood crystal, Lu Ming's hair stood on end, and he quickly retreated. Boom. An arrow was shot from the front at a shocking speed. It landed on the ground where he had just stood, creating a huge pit. Lu Ming's face darkened as he looked ahead. His figure flickered and 5 young men appeared in front of him, 4 men and 1 woman. One of the young men held a big bow and appeared in front of the tree that Lu Ming had slashed in half. He dug out a wood crystal. It's such a waste to give this wood crystal to a few people who are about to die. The young man with the big bow sneered. He looked at Lu Ming and the others as though they were already dead. It's them. Lu Ming squinted his eyes. These people were the ones who had tried to kill him previously. Did Huang Wu send you? Lu Ming asked. You can't say that he was sent. The young man with the big bow smiled and said, Huang Wu and his elder brother, Huang Wen, are under Fukoseiko. You have injured Fukoseiko's men. Do you still want to live? Fukoseiko. Lu Ming understood that these people were the same as Huang Wu. They were under Fukoseiko's men. Lu Ming had beaten Huang Wu twice, and these people were here to avenge Huang Wu. These two girls are peerless. It's a pity to kill them. How about this? I'll give you a chance. The two of you, submit to us and serve us well. Then, we'll spare your lives. Another young man looked at Xian Yanqing and Xian Yinjuan with a lustful expression. Do you think that you can defeat us? Lu Ming said coldly. At the same time, he circulated his divine force and was ready for a battle. Lu Ming, your combat strength is not bad and you have a metallic life form. However, you will definitely die in front of us. The young man with the big bow said coldly as a powerful aura spread out from his body. As for the other four, they circulated their divine power. Powerful auras and ice-cold murderous intent radiated from them without restraint. 2 level 7 Empty God Realm experts. 3 level 6 Empty God Realm experts. In an instant, Lu Ming judged the other party's ability. His heart sank slightly. These young men had been in the sect for 1,000 years or even 2,000 years. They were very powerful, and the divine force that they controlled was king-grade divine force. Ordinary people could not compare with them. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yinjuan had shocking combat strength, but their cultivation was limited. They were only level 3 Empty God Realm experts. It would be difficult for them to deal with a level 6 Empty God Realm expert. Given Lu Ming's ability, he was no match for a level 6 Void God. Qiu was slightly stronger, but a level 7 Empty God Realm expert was enough to stop him. The situation was not good for them. At this moment, a figure flashed in the sky and an elder appeared. This elder was one of the 4 deacons of the outer sect. The scene below was seen by the old man. Baidu searching 81 Chinese networko. No advertising message. Chapter 2666. The outer deacon stood in the sky and saw everything clearly. However, Lu Ming and the rest did not notice him. However, he did not stop them. This brat is stubborn. Our Tianhong faction invited him to join us, but he refused. Since he doesn't want to join our faction, he will be an enemy sooner or later. We can use the Floating Light faction to get rid of him. Ruthlessness flashed across Laozi's eyes. This old man was from the Skybright Saint Sun's faction. In Kongxian school, some of the outer deacons, inner deacons, outer elders, and even inner elders would join some factions to support a holy son or holy daughter to take over the faction of the sect master in the future. Since Lu Ming did not join the Tianhong faction, if he joined another faction in the future, he would be an enemy of the Tianhong faction. The old man chuckled. In a flash, he left the place and pretended that he had not seen anything. The two of you surrender now. Otherwise, you will end up in a miserable state. The young man with the big bow looked at Xian Yanqing and Xian Yinjuan and spoke again. That's right. Hurry up. I will give you one last chance. Otherwise, you won't have another chance. The other level 7 Empty God Realm young man said coldly. Wait a minute. Let's charge together. Lu Ming sent a message to Xian Yanqing and Xian Yinjuan. Lu Ming, Xian Yinjuan and I will cast the Dark Sacred Light Cage to trap a level 7 Empty God Realm cultivator. After that, we will charge together. Xian Yanqing replied. Lu Ming nodded his head silently. At this moment, the other party had lost his patience. Stubborn. Then let's kill them together. Attack. The young man with the big bow shouted. He pulled the big bow and divine power surged. An arrow was formed. Retreat. Lu Ming shouted. The 3 of them retreated frantically with Xian Yanqing and Xian Yinjuan. You want to leave? Duh. The bow-wielding youth shouted and shot out an arrow of light that was incomparably resplendent. It was like a shooting star as it shot towards Lu Ming, emitting a terrifying might. Lu Ming had once used the fallen star bow, so he knew that those who used bows and arrows as weapons usually had terrifying single-target attack power. Lu Ming didn't dare to take them head-on. Qiu. Lu Ming waved his hand and Qiu flew out, turning into a shield in front of him. Clang! The meteor-like arrow struck the shield that Qiu had transformed into. The shield trembled incessantly, but in the end it was blocked. Kill! At the same time, the other 4 young men and women charged towards Lu Ming's group. The level 7 empty god was the fastest. In an instant he was near Lu Ming. Downwind slash! The youth shouted and slashed with his saber. A crescent saber radiance shot towards Lu Ming. Without any hesitation, Lu Ming brandished his long spear to block the attack. The long spear was a lower rank 9 sacred weapon. The long spear vibrated as Lu Ming unleashed the full power of his incomplete sacred skill. Clang! The long spear and the saber radiance collided. Lu Ming felt a terrifying force rushing towards him from the long spear, wanting to tear his body apart. Puff! Lu Ming spurted out a mouthful of blood as he was sent flying a few hundred meters away. Powerful. Too powerful. With Lu Ming's current combat strength, he couldn't even defeat a level 6 empty god, let alone a level 7 empty god. The difference between them was too great. Lu Ming was injured in one move. However, with this delay, Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan finally made their move. Dark Sacred Light Skill. With 2 soft shouts, 2 suns appeared in the sky. One was black and the other was white. The black and white light intertwined and turned into a dark sacred light cage, enveloping the level 7 empty god. Boom! The level 7 empty god struck with his saber, but he couldn't break the dark sacred light cage. However, the other 3 level 6 empty god realm experts had also arrived. Boom! 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 The 3 of them struck at the same time, and struck out a terrifying blow. Swoosh! Swoosh! Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan struck out continuously. Rays of sword radiance collided with their opponents. Clang! Clang! After a series of explosions, Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan borrowed the force of the explosion to retreat. Lower rank 9 sacred weapon. The opponents looked at the combat swords in Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan's hands greedily. The combat swords in Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan's hands were given to them by Lu Ming. They were lower rank 9 sacred weapons. Retreat! Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan retreated to Lu Ming's side, and the 3 of them continued to retreat. Qiu flew back quickly and met up with Lu Ming and the others. Don't even think about leaving. Chase after them. The young man with the big bow shouted and chased after them. The other 3 level 6 empty god realm young men and women also chased after them. Swoosh! The young man with the big bow shot out another terrifying arrow, but it was blocked by Qiu. Boom! At that moment, the young man who was trapped in the dark sacred light cage had also broken through the dark sacred light cage and chased after Lu Ming and the others. The 2 parties chased and fled quickly. Damn it, we must kill them. At that moment, the 5 young men and women with the big bow were shocked. After a short fight, they realized that the combat strength of Lu Ming and the others were shockingly high. Lu Ming was only a demigod and Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan were only level 3 empty god realm. With such cultivation, they were able to block their attacks. Divine power. Lu Ming and the others must have mastered divine power. Otherwise, they would not be so powerful. They had to kill such people. If they were left alive, they would only be a disaster. Soon, the 2 parties had traveled for more than 100 miles. Sacred Light Escape Skill. At that moment, sacred light surrounded Xian Yinjuan's body, and she looked like a holy saintess. Then a white halo spread out and enveloped Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing. Swoosh! Immediately, their speed increased and they became several times faster than before. They turned into streaks of light and disappeared before the eyes of the young men with the big bow. Damn it! The young men shouted angrily. That must be a secret skill to escape. With such fast speed, there must be repercussions. Chase them. This time we must kill them. The young man with the big bow said coldly. The 5 young men continued to chase in the direction that Lu Ming and the others had disappeared. Xian Yinjuan led Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing and flew for more than 100,000 miles before stopping. Then she spat out a mouthful of blood and her face turned pale. She forced herself to use the Sacred Light Escape skill and is injured. Let's find a safe place first. Xian said. Lu Ming nodded and led Xian away. Soon, they had traveled for more than 100,000 miles. The others would not be able to travel as fast in the forest because they did not know when they would be attacked by the plant life. However, they had Qiu with them. They could sense the presence of the plant life and avoid it in advance. Then they found a hidden valley and rushed in. Once they entered the valley, Lu Ming immediately took out a healing elixir and fed it to Xian so that she could heal herself. Baidu searching 81 Chinese networko. No advertisement. Chapter 2667. Fuko Seiko's faction. Huang Wu's faction. Lu Ming's eyes flickered coldly. It was obvious that the other party wanted to get rid of him in the Jiwu forest. This time it was a close call. Breakthrough. I must achieve a breakthrough as soon as possible. Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly. This time it was all thanks to Qiu, Xian Yanqing, and Xian Yinjuan. Xian Yinjuan had a formidable background. He had risked his injuries and executed a secret escape technique to bring them away. Otherwise, it would have been dangerous for Lu Ming to rely on his own strength. Lu Ming desperately needed strength. There were too many powerhouses in the primitive universe and deities were everywhere. Lu Ming's current strength was too weak. After cultivating, my divine force has grown a lot stronger. If it grows a little stronger, I will be able to break through to the martial god realm. Lu Ming pondered. He swallowed a healing pill and began to treat his injuries. Previously, he had received an attack from a rank 7 empty god realm expert and had suffered some injuries. A few hours later, Lu Ming's injuries were fully healed. A wisp of divine flame burned brightly in his dantian. Divine force continuously flowed through his meridians. However, the density of his divine force was not perfect yet. It was still lacking. Let's give it a try. Lu Ming took out 2 jade bottles. The 2 jade bottles were filled with spirit-strengthening pills. Lu Ming originally had 2 bottles of spirit-strengthening pills. Each bottle contained 9 pills. He had used a few of them when he was cultivating, so he was left with a dozen pills. With a flash, Xian Yanqing appeared beside Lu Ming. Lu Ming, go ahead and cultivate. I will guard you, Xian Yanqing said. As soon as Lu Ming took out the spirit-strengthening pills, Xian Yanqing immediately understood what Lu Ming was thinking. All right. Lu Ming nodded his head with a firm look in his eyes. He took a deep breath and absorbed the spirit-strengthening pills into his mouth. Boom, boom, boom. The medicinal energy of over a dozen spirit-strengthening pills was too strong. As soon as it spread, it turned into a surging wave of energy that surged through Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming returned to his original state. The divine flame burned fiercely, and he began to frantically refine the medicinal energy. Fortunately, the effect of the spirit-strengthening pill was to increase one's divine power, so refining it was not that difficult. If it were any other type of pill, swallowing so many of them at once would have torn apart Lu Ming's body, no matter how strong it was. The rich medicinal power was constantly being refined and converted into divine power. Lu Ming's divine power grew stronger and stronger, flowing through his meridians like mercury. That was God energy, the energy of the gods. It was much stronger than the energy of the world. A wisp of God energy could easily pierce through the energy of the world. If Lu Ming had not comprehended the path of the ruler and mastered the power of the ruler, he would not have been able to fight against an empty god with his cultivation of the heavenly emperor realm. Only the path of the ruler, which defied the natural order, could allow Lu Ming to fight against an empty god when he was in the heavenly emperor realm. Rumble. When all the medicinal energy was refined, the divine power in Lu Ming's body was extremely rich. It flowed through his meridians and returned to the divine flame. All right, time to break through to the martial god realm. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Afterward, the divine fire in his dantian suddenly soared. Initially, the divine flame was only the size of a fist. Now it was growing rapidly. Even the divine power flowing through Lu Ming's meridians seemed to have been ignited and turned into divine flames. Huff huff, Lu Ming seemed to be shrouded in a ball of flames. Lu Ming was trying to break through to the martial god realm. Once he succeeded, his flesh would transform into a god flesh. Those with a god flesh would be considered a martial god. 2 days were gone in the same manner. Bang! A shocking aura burst out of his body. A beam of light soared into the sky and soared into the clouds. Wisps of god energy surged in Lu Ming's direction. Crap! Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan were startled. Such a huge commotion would most likely attract the attention of others. Devour! Lu Ming took out a huge number of god crystals and blasted them into pieces. Wisps of god energy surged into Lu Ming's body and were refined by Lu Ming. They were converted into divine force. Rumble! The divine flame in Lu Ming's dantian grew rapidly. The divine force in his body grew stronger too. Lu Ming absorbed a few tens of thousands of god crystals in one go before stopping. First layer empty god realm. Success! Lu Ming had achieved the martial god realm and achieved the first layer empty god realm. His strength had improved tremendously. My battle character technique seems to have had a breakthrough too. Once he had a breakthrough in his cultivation, Lu Ming felt something in his heart. He discovered that his battle word incantation had also broken through the bottleneck and entered a new realm. Previously, even though the battle character technique had a 100% chance of doubling his strength, it was still difficult for him to improve it further. Right now, Lu Ming felt that he could activate the battle word tactic to increase his combat ability by 3 times. That's right, triple his strength. However, there was still a chance for him to triple his strength. Similar to the previous double his strength, it was impossible for him to succeed. Lu Ming still needed to comprehend it further. Let's leave this place first. Lu Ming rose from his seat and said after finishing his cultivation. His breakthrough had caused a huge commotion. He was afraid that it would attract the attention of his enemies. Let's go. Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan nodded their heads. The 3 of them rushed out of the valley and into the depths of the forest. At that moment, many people were alerted by the commotion caused by Lu Ming's breakthrough, and were heading in their direction. The 3 of them ran quickly. However, they were blocked after a short distance. Young man, let's see where you can run to. With a cold shout, 3 young men appeared in front of them and blocked their way. The 3 of them were the ones who had wanted to kill Lu Ming and the rest. One of them was a level 7 empty god, and the other 2 were level 6 empty gods. Go to hell, downwind slash. The 3 young men dashed toward Lu Ming at lightning speed. The young man at level 7 empty god realm slashed his saber, and a terrifying saber gleam slashed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming waved his hand and Qiu flew out. It turned into a metal ball and collided with the young man. Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan rushed towards the 2 level 6 empty god realm young men. Buzz. Lu Ming's spear swept towards the level 6 empty god realm young man. The moment he struck, Lu Ming had activated the battle character manual to double his combat strength. Boom. There was a loud explosion, and the young man's face changed drastically. He was in disbelief. His body was like a cannonball, and he was sent flying by Lu Ming. He crashed into a huge tree that was 10 meters in diameter, and the huge tree was smashed into pieces. The young man was shocked. How did Lu Ming's strength suddenly increase? Kill! Lu Ming shouted and charged towards the young man. He had already broken through to level 1 empty god realm, and his divine power was many times stronger than before. He could crush a level 6 empty god realm martial artist. When Lu Ming was a half-god, he could fight with Huang Wu, who was a level 5 empty god realm martial artist. He could use a lower-ranked 9 divine weapon to suppress his opponent. Now that he had broken through to the empty god realm, Lu Ming could crush a level 6 empty god realm martial artist. Moreover, Lu Ming could even fight against a level 7 empty god realm martial artist. The higher the cultivation rank, the greater the gap between each rank. It was not easy to cross the gap. Chapter 2668. Swoosh. Lu Ming struck out with his spear, and a dazzling spear radiance shot towards his opponent. The opponent was shocked and tried his best to defend himself. However, it was useless as he was sent flying by Lu Ming. Even his sacred weapon was sent flying and his arms were broken. Kill. Subsequently, Lu Ming swept his long spear and blasted the existence of the Void God Realm level 6, killing him on the spot. You. The other 2 were shocked. Sizzle sizzle at this moment. A ray of light shot towards Lu Ming at a terrifying speed. It was an arrow, a terrifying arrow. Without hesitation, Lu Ming swept his spear backwards and collided with the arrow. Boom! An intense explosion sounded out, as if a sun had exploded, forming shockwaves that rushed out in all directions. Buzz! The spear in Lu Ming's hand vibrated continuously. A terrifying force followed Lu Ming's spear and charged towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's figure drifted backward. He only stopped after retreating a few hundred meters. The attack power of this arrow is terrifying. Lu Ming felt his arm go numb and he was shocked. "Lad, you actually managed to block my attack." A shocked voice resounded. In the forest far away, 7 or 8 figures flashed and rushed towards them. One of them was the young man with the big bow that they had met previously. Oh my God, so many people! Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. Previously, there were only 5 people including the young man with the big bow. Now there were 5 or 6 more people, and some of them had terrifying auras that were not weaker than the young man with the big bow. Needless to say, from the murderous intent that permeated their bodies, they were from Fuko Seiko's faction and Huangwu's faction. Lu Ming could barely contend with a level 7 ethereal god. However, it was impossible for him to defeat the other party. Most importantly, Lu Ming had been activating the battle word incantation to increase his combat strength by 3 times, but he kept failing. "Xiaoqing, let's go." Lu Ming did not hesitate and rushed towards Xian Yanqing and the others. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan had joined hands to fight the young man at 6th level of ethereal god realm. They had suppressed him completely. As for Qiuqiu, it was locked in a fierce battle with the 7th level empty god realm existence. Kill! He rushed to the side of Xian Yanqing and thrust his spear at the ethereal god stage 6 youth. The other party was shocked. However, he was already suppressed by Xian Yanqing and Wang Yao. How could he deal with Lu Ming? He was directly stabbed to death by Lu Ming's spear. "Ah, you're courting death." After 2 people died, the bow-wielding young man and the others became furious. The bow-wielding young man once again shot out an arrow, but it was blocked by Lu Ming's spear. "Go!" Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Xian Yanjuan and Qiuqiu also abandoned their opponents and rushed towards the same direction. "Chase, we must kill him. Kill this bastard. Kill." Furious roars came from behind as they rushed towards Lu Ming and the others. "Our strength is still not enough." Lu Ming was a little depressed. There were too many people on the other side. If there were only 5 people from before, they could still fight. However, the number of people on the other side had doubled. If they fought, they would be doomed. In the blink of an eye, they had traveled a few thousand li. There were people in front. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly brightened. If they encountered other disciples of the sect, the people of the floating light sect would not be so bold as to attack them in public. Although they were no longer in the sect, the other party would still have some scruples. However, in the next moment Lu Ming's face changed. This was because Lu Ming recognized one of the people in front of him. It was a well-dressed young man from the Tianhong Saint Sun's faction. Previously, he had asked Lu Ming to meet the young man with the surname Ming. His attitude was extremely bad. At this moment, the other party also saw Lu Ming and the others. "It's this kid." The well-dressed young man's eyes turned cold as he said, "This kid actually dared to reject the invitation of the Tianhong Saint Sun's faction. He will be a disaster sooner or later. Now is the time to get rid of him. Attack." Immediately, the well-dressed young man and the others rushed towards Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming secretly complained. He did not expect to encounter the well-dressed young man and the others here. From the killing intent emitted from the other party, it was needless to say that they also wanted to kill him. "I only refused to join the other party's faction and they want to kill me?" Lu Ming's heart surged with anger. When his strength increases in the future, he must personally destroy the Tianhong Saint Sun's faction and Fuko Seiko's faction. "Kid, die." A long sword appeared in the well-dressed young man's hand. He slashed out with a terrifying power. The well-dressed young man's cultivation had already reached the peak of the 7th Void God realm. He was not far from the 8th Void God realm. His strength was extremely shocking. Lu Ming and the others did not want to face the other party head-on. If they were entangled by the other party, They would be surrounded when the other party caught up. It would be troublesome. Once so many experts joined forces, they would be in danger. They immediately changed direction and rushed to the right. You want to leave? Stay. The well-dressed young man led a few people and chased after Lu Ming and the others. Behind them, the young man with the big bow and the others also quickly chased after them. Oh. Floating light faction. This kid injured Huang Wu. It's normal for these people to want to kill him. The well-dressed young man's heart jumped. He knew what was going on. Let's join forces and kill this kid. The well-dressed young man sent a message to the young man with the big bow and the others. Okay. Both parties immediately joined forces and chased after Lu Ming and the others. At this moment, a figure appeared in the sky. It was the deacon of the Tianhong faction. The old man was called Le Zhong. This kid is actually fine. He's really lucky. A cold light flashed in Le Zhong's eyes. He then looked behind him. In that direction, a streak of rainbow light was rapidly approaching. It was another deacon of the outer sanctum. We can't let him ruin this. I'll go stop him. Le Zhong whispered and then flew towards the other deacon. Le Zhong, what's going on? I feel that there's a big commotion here. The deacon who came later said. It's nothing. Some disciples are chasing after some plant life. Don't worry. I'm here. Nothing will happen. Le Zhong smiled. That's good. The deacon who came later did not suspect anything. He nodded and left. Lu Ming and the others ran for another 10,000 miles. They slowed down. After reaching this place, it became more and more remote. However, there were fewer plants, especially plant life. They almost did not encounter them. That is. Suddenly, they realized that there was an abyss in front of them. In the abyss, there was a blood-red mist constantly emerging. It seriously blocked their vision, and they could not see what was inside. Let's go in. Lu Ming and the others did not stop and rushed into the abyss. In the abyss, there was a blood-red mist that blocked their vision. This way, they could use the environment here to get rid of the other party. However, when they flew above the abyss, their expressions changed greatly. In the abyss, there was a terrifying gravitational force that acted on them. This gravitational force was too strong, making it difficult for them to fly. They directly fell into the abyss. Chapter 2669. Lu Ming and the others fell into the abyss like meteors. The young man in luxurious clothes and the young man with the big bow were shocked and stopped in their tracks. They landed beside the abyss, their faces solemn, and they did not move forward. This place is strange and evil. I feel uneasy. The young man in luxurious clothes whispered. Let's surround this place first. If that kid doesn't die, he will come out. We can kill him then. The young man with the big bow said. He was also uneasy. In the end, they did not dare to enter the abyss. They decided to stay here and wait for Lu Ming to come out. In fact, they were even sending voice transmissions to call for more helpers. This was because the abilities of Lu Ming and the rest made them uneasy. They were too powerful. They were simply unbelievably powerful. Not long after, more and more people from the two factions arrived. There were more than 10 Tier 7 Ethereal God Realm cultivators. However, there were no Tier 8 Ethereal God Realm cultivators. After all, these people had joined the sect in the last 3,000 years. It was good enough that they could reach Tier 7 Ethereal God Realm. Le Zhong saw all of this. He turned a blind eye and left. After all, he was a deacon. It would not be good for him if others knew that he was indulging them on purpose. Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing, and Xian Yinjuan continued to fall. Luckily, the abyss was not very high. It was only about 1,000 meters deep. Boom, boom, boom. The three of them adjusted their footing and landed heavily on the ground, creating 3 loud explosions. Then the 3 of them looked around. Lu Ming and the other 2 were taken aback. There were piles of dead wood and rotten grass in the abyss. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He saw a green flash in a pile of dead wood. He walked over and used his divine power to absorb. A green object flew out. Wood crystal. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. It was a wood crystal with rich energy. Obviously, it was of a high level. There's one here too. Xian Yanqing exclaimed. She also found a wood crystal in a pile of rotten grass. Their eyes burned with passion. Could it be that many plant life forms had died in this place, and the wood crystals had all fallen here? If that was the case, wouldn't he be rich? Instantly, the three of them flashed and began to rummage through the piles of dead wood and rotten grass. Sure enough, they found more and more wood crystals. Those withered trees and rotten grass were clearly plant life forms. However, for some unknown reason, they had lost their essence energy and turned into withered trees and rotten grass, leaving only wood crystals behind. After a short while, they found more than a dozen wood crystals. Moreover, each of them had abundant energy. They were even more abundant than the wood crystals of the 5th-level ethereal god realm plants they had killed before. The plant life forms that left these wood crystals were all above ethereal god realm. We're rich. Haha, let's continue. The three of them were very excited and began to sweep through the bottom of the abyss. Who would have thought that there would be such a treasure ground at the bottom of the abyss? Moreover, the luxuriously dressed youth and the others didn't chase after them. Lu Ming guessed that they probably had some misgivings and didn't dare to chase after them. This way they would be even more at ease to plunder. Rustle. Suddenly, a wave of rustling sound sounded out, making the few people's faces change. Be careful, there are living beings approaching. Xian Yanjuan's face was solemn as she felt waves of dangerous aura. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing's faces were also solemn. Lu Ming even felt goosebumps and his heart tightened. It seems like the wood crystals here aren't that easy to obtain. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. The three of them formed a circle and carefully observed their surroundings. At this moment, the blood mist in the abyss became thicker. That rustling sound was getting closer and closer. Swoosh! Suddenly, a terrifying whistling sound was heard. The sound came from the ground. A few rays of blood-red light shot out from the ground and pierced towards them. Be careful! Lu Ming shouted. His long spear appeared and he swept it out. Dong! Lu Ming's long spear seemed to have hit leather, and a dong sound was heard. However, that red light wasn't blown away. Instead, it coiled around it. It was a tentacle, a blood-red tentacle that looked like the roots of a tree. At this moment, Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan also made their move. Their swords slashed and left sword marks on the blood-red roots. However, they didn't cut them open. These roots were extremely tough. Boom! Lu Ming directly activated 3 times his combat strength. His long spear shook violently. 13 layers of strength burst out and finally, the roots were blown away. Then Lu Ming put away his long spear and took out a battle sword. Against these roots, the battle sword was more practical. Break! Lu Ming held the sword with both hands and unleashed his full combat strength. The purplish gold sovereign power burst out along the battle sword and slashed at one of the roots. Puff! That root was directly cut off by Lu Ming. From the cut-off root, blood spurted out and blood chi filled the air. Squeak! That root seemed to be in pain. Not far away, squeak squeak squeak, sounds could be heard. Then a few roots retracted. But in the next moment, a huge monster appeared from the blood mist. What the hell is this? Lu Ming gasped a breath of cold air at the sight of the huge creature. It was also an ancient tree. Its whole body was blood red. On the trunk, there were tentacle-like roots that were constantly waving. Its root system was very developed. There were at least a few hundred of them densely packed together. They also looked like blood-red poisonous snakes. One look at them would make one's scalp tingle. There was no doubt that this was a plant life, and an extremely terrifying one at that. This is an extremely rare bloodthirsty plant life. It specializes in devouring the blood of other plant life, and even the blood of other living beings. Be careful! Xian Yanjuan warned. This plant life. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. When he was in the primordial realm's divine wilderness continent, Lu Ming had also encountered such a plant life that specialized in devouring the blood of other living beings. However, it was far from being this powerful. This ancient tree moved towards Lu Ming and the others with its roots as its feet, emitting a terrifying aura. Swoosh! Swoosh! Then dozens of blood-red roots swept towards Lu Ming and the others with astonishing power. Crack! Qiu flew out and bit down on one of the roots, directly biting it off. Lu Ming and the others also attacked. However, these roots were very hard and powerful. It was very difficult to cut them off. The most shocking thing was that after they cut off the roots, the other party's roots would quickly heal and attack them again. 3 times the combat strength erupt. As Lu Ming attacked, he constantly activated the battle formula, trying to trigger 3 times the combat strength. Boom. After dozens of times, a powerful force emerged from Lu Ming's body. 3 times the combat strength successfully triggered. Chapter 2670. After dozens of activations, Lu Ming finally succeeded in activating the battle character secret art to double his fighting strength. Lu Ming's body emitted a strong fighting spirit. Lu Ming's fighting spirit soared to the heavens as his fighting spirit soared. Puff. Puff. The battle sword slashed across the sky, and 2 blood-red roots were directly cut in half, blood splattering everywhere. Kill. Lu Ming attacked rapidly, his battle sword slashing out continuously. At this moment, his fighting strength had reached its peak. Another few tentacles were cut in half. Asterisk chi chi chi. Asterisk the blood-red ancient tree seemed to be in pain. Hundreds of roots danced crazily, letting out ear-piercing screeches. Then hundreds of tentacles wrapped around Lu Ming, wanting to wrap Lu Ming to death, and then devour Lu Ming's blood. However, Qiu transformed into a semicircular shield, blocking in front of Lu Ming. Those roots bombarded Qiu's body. Qiu's body was like mercury, sinking in from the bombardment. The next moment it returned to its original state. Moreover, Qiu was a metallic life form and had no blood. The blood-red ancient tree couldn't do anything to Qiu. Dark Saint Light Technique. At this moment, Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan joined forces and activated the Dark Saint Light Technique. Black and white light intertwined, forming a Dark Saint Light cage that enveloped the blood-red ancient tree. Good chance Qiu smash. Lu Ming shouted and pounced towards the blood-red ancient tree like a rock. At the same time, Qiu turned into a huge metal ball and smashed towards the blood-red ancient tree. Asterisk chi chi chi. Asterisk the blood-red ancient tree crazily waved hundreds of roots and bombarded the Dark Saint Light cage, causing the Dark Saint Light cage to shake nonstop. In addition, blood-red thorns emerged from the blood-red ancient tree's body and flew in all directions like a hedgehog. Qiu was the first to pass through the Dark Saint Light cage and smashed down, knocking away some of the blood-red thorns and roots. Lu Ming followed closely behind Qiu and slashed out with his sword. Puff. Lu Ming had left a several-meter-long sword wound on the blood-colored ancient tree. Blood gushed out like a fountain. The aura of the blood-colored ancient tree also weakened rapidly. Again slash. Lu Ming slashed out with his sword again. This time, the ancient blood-colored tree was completely split into 2 halves. The blood-colored ancient tree was split in half and fell to the ground. Blood flowed all over the ground, releasing a nauseating smell. Phew, Lu Ming let out a long sigh. This blood-colored ancient tree was very terrifying. They had to join forces and use everything they had to kill it. Lu Ming, be careful. Suddenly, Xian Yinqing cried out anxiously. He rushed towards Lu Ming and set up a sword screen in front of him. Bang. An exceptionally thick blood-red root slammed heavily into the sword screen in front of Xian Yinqing. The sword screen instantly collapsed. Xian Yinqing was thrown back like a kite with a broken string, blood spurting out of his mouth. Shaoqing. Lu Ming turned pale with fright. He moved and caught Xian Yinqing by the waist. Xian Yinqing's face was pale. He had been seriously injured by the attack just now. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Rustling sounds came from both sides of the abyss. Then, one after another, huge creatures appeared in their line of sight. They were all blood-colored ancient trees. At a glance, there were at least a few dozen of them. One of them was exceptionally tall. It was twice as tall as the other blood-colored ancient trees. Its thick roots danced and crackled. So many. Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing, and Xian Yinjuan felt their scalps go numb. It was already difficult to deal with one blood-colored ancient tree. How were they going to deal with so many of them? Moreover, there was a terrifying gravitational force in this abyss. They couldn't fly even if they wanted to. There was no way they could escape. Are we going to die here today? A thought flashed across Lu Ming's mind. He felt indignant. Xian Yanjuan's body emitted a holy light. She was also unwilling. She still had something important to do. She couldn't die here. She was going to fight with her life. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Dozens of blood-colored ancient trees let out ear-piercing screeches. Their roots danced like a group of demons. It was a terrifying scene. Swoosh. The tallest and thickest blood-colored ancient tree attacked. A blood-colored root as thick as a bucket whipped towards Lu Ming and the others. Break! Xian Yanjuan shouted. Her entire body seemed to have become one with her sword. She turned into a holy sword and slashed at the root. Boom! Sword chi scattered and the holy light shattered. Xian Yanjuan was sent flying. When she landed on the ground, she trembled and spat out a mouthful of blood. That giant blood-colored ancient tree was too strong. Xian Yanjuan couldn't block it at all. Whoosh! The thick root continued to whip towards them. Let me! Lu Ming shouted and rushed out. He circulated his sovereign god force to the maximum. The battle sword in his hand emitted a dazzling purple-gold light. He slashed at the thick root. However, the result was the same as before. Lu Ming felt a terrifying force rush towards him. He was forced to retreat. He couldn't block it. He couldn't block it at all. Creak, creak, creak. Dozens of blood-colored ancient trees waved their roots and screeched. They slowly closed in on Lu Ming. They weren't in a hurry to attack. They seemed to be toying with Lu Ming and the others. The dozens of blood-colored ancient trees formed a circle. Their roots danced like a cage, completely trapping Lu Ming and the others. There was no way to escape. Lu Ming! Xian Yanqing's small hand tightly grasped Lu Ming's big hand. Little ball, they can't do anything to you. Take the opportunity to escape later. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Little Ball. Crack, crack. Little Ball's round body spun with all its might. It had a look of rejection. Creak, creak, creak. At this moment, the largest blood-colored ancient tree screeched crazily. It seemed to be giving the final order. Then, all the blood-colored ancient trees attacked together. Tens of thousands of roots wrapped around Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming and the others were about to be drowned by the endless blood-colored roots. At this moment, the portrait of Jingyu in Lu Ming's Sea of Consciousness moved. It flew out of Lu Ming's Sea of Consciousness and floated above Lu Ming's head. It emitted a dazzling purple-gold light that enveloped Lu Ming and the others like a light shield. Boom, boom, boom. Those tentacles bombarded the light shield, but were all blocked by the light shield. Lu Ming was extremely surprised. Jingyu's portrait actually moved at this moment. In the past, Lu Ming had encountered fatal danger, but Jingyu's portrait had never moved. Why did it move now? Could it be related to my breakthrough to the empty god realm? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Baya had once said that Jingyu's portrait had layers of restrictions. It could only be unlocked when Lu Ming's cultivation reached a certain level. Perhaps, Jingyu's portrait would only move when Lu Ming's cultivation had broken through to the empty god realm. At this moment, the eyes of Jingyu's portrait lit up like two stars and a supreme aura burst out. Creak, creak, creak. Those blood-colored ancient trees seemed to be extremely frightened. They screeched and waved their roots. In the blink of an eye, not a single tree was left. Chapter 2671. In the blink of an eye, all of the ancient blood-colored trees were gone. Lu Ming and the others were dumbfounded. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan looked at Jingyu's portrait in astonishment. At this moment, the light on Jingyu's portrait dimmed and flew back into Lu Ming's knowledge sea. At the same time, a piece of information came out from Jingyu's portrait. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. The information that came out from Jingyu's portrait was a divine art and 2 divine skills. Universe Myriad Dao Art, Apocalyptic 3 Strikes, and 9 layers Crimson Gold Armor. Universe Myriad Dao Art was a divine art. Apocalyptic 3 Strikes was an offensive divine skill, and 9 layers Crimson Gold Armor was a defensive divine skill. Other than these, there was no other information. Lu Ming swore on his life origin that he would do something for Jingyu, but he did not reveal any information. Could it be that my cultivation is not high enough, So he didn't reveal any information to prevent me from dying in vain? Lu Ming could not help but guess. However, there was no time to think about it now. Their priority was to search for the wood crystals. Let's collect the wood crystals first, Lu Ming said. Immediately, the group gathered the wood crystals at the bottom of the abyss. There were so many ancient blood-colored trees living in the bottom of the abyss. Obviously, many plant life forms had died under the ancient blood-colored trees, leaving only wood crystals and broken branches and leaves. The group gathered the wood crystals along one side of the abyss. After walking for dozens of miles, they arrived at the end of the abyss and saw a huge cave with blood-colored mist coming out from it. It was obvious that some ancient blood-colored trees were hiding in this cave, but they did not dare to come out. It seems like these ancient blood-colored trees are really afraid. Lu Ming smiled. Then, they returned to the other side of the abyss to collect the wood crystals. After dozens of miles, they arrived at the end of the abyss. There was also a huge cave here, and those ancient blood-colored trees did not dare to come out. A big harvest. Thinking of the wood crystals they collected this time, Lu Ming's face was full of smiles. They had collected several hundred wood crystals, and all of them were of high quality. It was definitely a great harvest. If they were able to refine them all, their cultivation would surely improve significantly. Those people are probably waiting up there. Why don't we refine the wood crystals here first, then kill our way out? Xian Yanqing said, his eyes flashing with cold killing intent. All right, Lu Ming nodded. He also wanted to take a good look at the new divine arts and techniques he had obtained. Immediately, the three of them sat down cross-legged in the middle of the abyss. In this position, if those blood-colored ancient trees were to launch a sneak attack, they would be able to detect them in time, and have time to react. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan each took out a wood crystal and devoured it. Qiu, help us observe our surroundings. Lu Ming wasn't in a hurry to refine the wood crystals. First, he had Qiu stand guard for them. Then, he carefully examined the newly obtained divine arts and skills. First, Lu Ming looked at the Universe Myriad Dao technique. Lu Ming focused, and the Universe Myriad Dao technique became clear in his mind. Lines of words and even pictures appeared in Lu Ming's mind. A short while later, Lu Ming finished reading the Universe Myriad Dao technique. Lu Ming was stunned by the Universe Myriad Dao technique. The Universe Myriad Dao technique was a divine art that specialized in cultivating God force. Its level of profoundness exceeded Lu Ming's expectations. If one cultivated this divine art to the peak, they would be able to cultivate sovereign God force. However, this was only the foundation. After cultivating sovereign God force, one could cultivate other divine arts and techniques. Moreover, the God force cultivated from other divine arts and techniques could coexist with sovereign God force. The most shocking thing was that other divine arts and techniques didn't need to be cultivated to the peak. As long as one could cultivate a strand of God force, there was no need to continue cultivating. This was because that strand of God force would increase along with the sovereign God force. For example, if Lu Ming cultivated the Universe Myriad Dao technique to the peak and cultivated another divine art, he would be able to ignite another divine flame beside his original divine flame. Every time he cultivated a different divine art, he would be able to ignite another divine flame. These divine flames would increase along with the sovereign God force. Heaven-defying. This was simply heaven-defying. One had to know that an average person could only cultivate one divine flame. According to the Universe Myriad Dao technique, one could cultivate an unlimited number of divine flames as long as they had different divine arts and techniques. Lu Ming was amazed, and his heart was burning with passion. This divine art was truly heaven-defying. There was a paragraph at the end of the Universe Myriad Dao technique, which was Jingyu's annotation. Jingyu explained. The Universe 10,000 Daos technique was something Jingyu had obtained from a forbidden ground. Jingyu had relied on the Universe 10,000 Daos technique to control sovereign God force. Jingyu wasn't like Lu Ming, who hadn't cultivated any divine arts and techniques to control sovereign God force. Let's start cultivating. Lu Ming couldn't wait to see the profundity of the Universe Myriad Dao technique. The Universe Myriad Dao technique was divided into 12 levels. Only by cultivating to the 12th level would one be able to control sovereign God force. Lu Ming closed his eyes and started cultivating according to the manual. A few minutes later, Lu Ming opened his eyes. He had succeeded in cultivating the first level. The speed of his cultivation was shocking. Continue. Lu Ming continued cultivating. After a while, Lu Ming reached the second level, then the third level. In just half an hour, Lu Ming had reached the 6th level. This was very normal. When one cultivated the universe 10,000 Tao Sutra to the 12th level, one would be able to control the sovereign's divine power. However, Lu Ming had already mastered the sovereign's divine power. When he cultivated the universe 10,000 Tao Sutra, it was as though he was riding on a rocket. Lu Ming realized that as his cultivation of the universe myriad Tao technique deepened, the God force in his body became stronger. He was slowly approaching the second level of the void God realm. Moreover, Lu Ming had become more proficient in using the sovereign God force. Many of the profundities of the sovereign God force were unearthed by Lu Ming. In the past, Lu Ming didn't have a direction when cultivating the sovereign God force. He had to rely on himself and study Jingyu's portrait to advance. Now with the universe myriad Tao technique, Lu Ming had a direction and a path. This way, he would be able to unleash the profundities of the sovereign God force. Continue. Lu Ming immersed himself in cultivating. As he neared the end, his speed slowed down. However, 3 days later, Lu Ming still managed to cultivate the universe myriad Tao technique to the 12th level. Boom. When Lu Ming reached the 12th level of the universe myriad Tao technique, the divine fire in his dantian burned fiercely, and its volume increased by a notch. The God force in his body surged and became stronger. He had broken through. His cultivation had broken through to the second level of the void God realm. Chapter 2672. He hadn't refined any God crystals or wood crystals. He had only cultivated the universe myriad Tao's technique to the 12th level, and his cultivation had already made a breakthrough. Moreover, Lu Ming felt that using the sovereign's God force was much easier than before. According to the records of the universe of myriad Tao arts, I have already cultivated to the 12th level, so I can cultivate other divine skills and techniques. I can ignite another divine fire near the original divine fire. Unfortunately, there are no other divine skills and techniques. Lu Ming sighed. At the same time, he began to think about how to obtain a few divine techniques to cultivate after returning to the sect. There were also different levels of divine arts and techniques. They were divided into king grade, saint grade, and divine grade, 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 divine technique. If one cultivated a king grade divine art to its peak, one would be able to cultivate king grade divine power. When one cultivated a saint grade divine art to its peak, one could cultivate saint grade divine power. As for divine grade techniques, once cultivated to the peak, one would be able to cultivate divine grade divine power. The higher the level, the higher the value. For the Qin Heavenly 13 sects, each of them had saint grade divine arts and arts. But for each of them, they were considered the ultimate treasures of their sect. Only those who were truly core members would have the qualifications to cultivate them. As for the three overlords, they all had their own divine grade divine arts. In addition, the Kongxian school was the leader of the top 10 sects, and it was said that they had several types of saint grade divine arts. These sacred grade and divine grade divine techniques were too precious. Naturally, Lu Ming could not get his hands on them now. However, those king grade divine techniques were not that precious. It was still possible for him to get his hands on them. At the very least, in a major power like the Qin Heavenly 13 sects, there should be quite a few royal grade cultivation arts. Although it was only at the king grade, if Lu Ming cultivated it and ignited another divine fire, his strength would definitely be stronger. The key was that the heaven and earth myriad Tao art was too profound. Lu Ming did not need to cultivate to the peak of other divine arts and techniques. He only needed to cultivate a strand of divine power. Under the guidance of the heaven and earth myriad Tao art, he would naturally be able to achieve the corresponding level of divine power. Boom. Boom. At this moment, Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan simultaneously emitted two powerful auras. Both of them had broken through. The speed of refining the wood crystals was too fast. After a few days of refining, the two of them had broken through from level 3 Empty God Realm to level 4 Empty God Realm. Soon their auras calmed down. However, there were still a lot of wood crystals left, and the two of them continued to refine them. Let's look at the other two divine skills. Lu Ming was looking forward to it. He wasn't in a hurry to refine the wood crystal and raise his cultivation. During this period of time, his cultivation had been continuously making breakthroughs. He had to stop and stabilize himself. Otherwise, his foundation would be unstable. He was different from Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan. Xian Yinjuan's past life and present life had fused together. It was as if he had been reborn from his past life. His cultivation level was far higher than his current cultivation level. As long as she had a large amount of resources, her cultivation level would increase rapidly. Xian Yinqing had devoured her past life in this life. However, she had inherited all the memories of her past life. Although her personality and will were from her current life, she had inherited the memories of her past life. However, since she had inherited the memories of her previous life, her horizons and martial will were still very high. Although she couldn't be compared to Xian Yinjuan, her martial will was still extraordinary. Hence, even if she were to improve rapidly, her cultivation base wouldn't be unstable. Next, Lu Ming took a closer look at the two types of divine skills. Level 9 divine skills. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Both divine skills were level 9 divine skills. This meant that these two divine skills could be cultivated to level 9. Level 9 divine skills were extremely rare and precious. The more one cultivated them, the more powerful they would be. For example, the ancestor of techniques, Kongji, and Situ Haonan only possessed level 3 divine skills. This was a complete divine skill, not something an incomplete divine skill could compare to. It was much more powerful. Level 9 Crimson Gold Armor was a defensive divine skill. After successfully cultivating it, a crimson gold armor would form on the surface of one's body. Its defensive power was shocking. The more one cultivated it, the stronger the defensive power. There was even a strong recoil force. If one cultivated it to level 9, its power would be unimaginable. Destructive 3 Strikes was an offensive divine skill. There were a total of 3 moves: Sky Splitter, Moon Slash, and Starburst. Each of the 3 moves was stronger than the previous one. However, each move was harder to cultivate than the previous one. When one cultivated it to level 1, one could use Sky Splitter. When one cultivated it to level 4, one could use the power of Moon Slash. As for Starburst, one had to cultivate it to level 7 before they could use it. Can I cultivate it now? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Logically speaking, one had to be at least a peak empty god to be able to use the divine skills. This was because using the divine skills consumed a shocking amount of divine power. However, Lu Ming controlled the sovereign divine power. It couldn't be compared to other divine powers. It was very strong. Perhaps he could use some of its power. Since I can't raise my cultivation now, I'll cultivate it first. Lu Ming made up his mind. First, he began to comprehend the apocalyptic 3 strikes. There was no doubt that the divine skills were very profound. Fortunately, Lu Ming had previously cultivated an incomplete divine skill. Moreover, once he cultivated it to a high level, it would be easier. Even so, Lu Ming spent a full half a month before he finally reached the beginner level of the apocalyptic 3 strikes. The destructive 3 strikes was a pure offensive technique. It could be used with many weapons, such as swords, sabers, spears, axes, etc. Lu Ming took out his spear and quickly circulated his divine power. His entire body became sharp. Xiao. The spear suddenly pierced forward. A spear light shot out from his body and hit the stone wall on one side of the abyss. Poof. It was like the spear had pierced through tofu. A small hole appeared in the stone wall. It was so deep that one couldn't see the bottom. What power! Lu Ming was pleasantly surprised. However, he immediately pulled a long face. This was because he felt that the divine power in his body was almost exhausted. Using the divine skill consumed too much divine power. Although he had mastered the sovereign divine power, he was only at rank 2 empty god realm. It was too much for him to use the divine skill. If it was someone else who had not mastered the divine grade divine power, and was only at rank 2 empty god realm, they would not be able to use the divine skill. Let's recover first. Lu Ming walked to the side and took out some divine crystals. He started to absorb the divine qi in the divine crystals to recover his divine power. After recovering a little, Lu Ming felt that Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan's aura had increased. They were about to break through again. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. In the past half a month, Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan had refined most of the wood crystals that were given to them. Finally, they started to break through again. Soon they succeeded in breaking through and their aura stabilized. Rank 5 empty god realm. This speed of breaking through was shocking. How long had it been since they came to the lush forest? This lush forest is really a blessing. Lu Ming smiled. This was a blessing for the new disciples. As long as they had the strength, they would be able to obtain enough wood crystals, and their strength would skyrocket in a short period of time. Lu Ming continued to devour the divine crystals. Soon, his divine power had recovered to its peak. Now let's go up. Xian Yanqing walked over and said, I have the same idea. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.